Hello and welcome. My name is Marc Blatstein, the physician who created Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service. Today, I'm going to be discussing if you're going to be going to trial, you need to have a very good two-way dialogue with your attorney and confidence in the fact that you're going to trial. I had a phone call, and the phone call was with a very nice individual, but he's very concerned. He was, I guess, low-hanging fruit as far as his legal case is concerned. He's a small fish in the case. His attorney going back and forth with him is not very, he doesn't return a lot of calls, but very insistent about going to trial. And the gentleman on the phone he was not very prepared for what was about to come. And I did my best to explain to him what the next steps were. But after the phone call, I felt it needed to be said that if in fact you're going to trial, you need to have a very good, frank conversation with your attorney, because this is your future. And the feds have a 98% conviction rate, or the Department of Justice does. And so if you know that you're indicted, you hear voices where you hear rumors that the feds are looking around, they already have their case. There's a target letter, they already have their case. And so unless your attorney is a magician and can pull a rabbit out of a hat, the conversation has to be, how confident is your team, your legal team, and how many cases have they won in federal court for cases just like yours? I mean, it pretty much has to come down to that, because if you lose, then the penalty could be much higher, much longer time in federal prison, as opposed to you pleading. And I realized that nobody wants to plea. I didn't want to plea, but I did something else just as stupid. And so I did wind up with longer time. And so you really need to understand all of the downsides. And so if in fact you're able to have this conversation, and I hope this individual's attorney does make a greater attempt at corresponding with his client, that I don't anticipate that the individual will be on the stand. He still has a lot of time between now and the trial date to still work on a personal narrative, to take the edge off if he loses, so that he can at least try and put a better face on the fact if he's convicted and is guilty. And so I still think that time can be spent productively. And I say this because, there are other examples out there. Bernie Ebbers, WorldCom, a lot of money, 25 years in prison. Jeffrey Skilling, 25 years in prison. Madoff, 150 years in prison. He didn't make it. Sam Bankman-Fried, I mean, this guy had a $40 billion thing going, and he's now down to zero, and he still thinks he's going to fight it. And he could wind up spending, the next 10 to 40 years or more in prison, unless he has a change of heart where there's not enablers around him, and his attorney is candid with him and doesn't, it lets him know that the feds are going to get something. And if he goes to trial, they win 98% of the time, and they're going to be looking for payback. Elizabeth Holmes found that out the hard way. Granted, she only got 11 years and change, and she's not going to spend nearly that much in prison, but it's a long time. And yet, while she's there, she still can, through a reentry plan and a narrative and bonding, if you will, with her case manager, potentially shorten that time. And so I was pretty disturbed when I got off the telephone because this person really did have all of the tools he needed for a narrative going into a plea. And so if you find yourselves in this position where you're not 100% confident that you're going to come out on the winning side of a trial, I think that you need to have a heart-to-heart conversation with your attorney. I hope you found this helpful and that I'm grateful for you taking the time out of your day to listen. And have a good day.